Griffin, and this is my presentation about favorite text in British literature. So obviously you can tell now, but my favorite text is Beowulf. Just this story was able to stay in my head throughout the whole entire semester. Just something that I didn't think would happen, but it did, and I'm quite surprised. And I love this story. Just love it. So why is Beowulf my favorite text? So this is just kind of some overview, just some stuff why. Not really about the story, why I like it. The story's overall just fun to read. This is really going to tie 1 and 3 together. I love medieval times, being able to just see the battles and kind of have that image in my head and how they present it within the story is a whole lot of fun. It's just, I've always loved medieval times, so to me this is perfect. And then number 2, it's easiest to understand than the other stories. Canterbury Tales was a tough read. I really couldn't understand it. I'd have to do a whole lot of research. But Beowulf was kind of easy from the start. I was able to understand what they were talking about, and I may have had to do some research about some things that didn't make sense to me. But overall, it was pretty simple to understand for me. Okay. I chose Beowulf because this text stuck in my head. I kind of mentioned that earlier in the beginning of the slide. Just stayed with me. I can recall a lot of information from this text. I kind of tied 1 and 2 there together. Just something that, if something interests me, I'm going to have a lot of information about it. So this was definitely something that I had a lot of information about. Number 3, I am a really big fan of the Heroic Code and what it meant during the Anglo-Saxon time period. The Heroic Code was something else. It kind of went along with every night a night movie. Like, if you know about medieval times, like there's always that main knight that's going to save somebody, or they have to kill someone or something that's threatening the land. The honor system, the loyalty to the king, and the perseverance they have to have. To me, that was just very interesting. 4, going back to the honor system that was placed during the story was very interesting. The honor system was something different, and I didn't really expect it, but it also can get really dark really quick. What I mean by that is when let's say someone kills the king, someone from a foreign land or a land nearby, they would mourn about the death of the king. Put him to rest. But then immediately or soon after, they would go find whoever did it, kill their family, and possibly then, depending on the severity. Now this, and kind of leave them with nothing. Now this kind of meant for kings and high knights, because usually high knights were high in the government too. So that you're killing like a government official right there. So, and then number 5, there are Christian undertones within the text, meaning that Beowulf believed in God. I'm gonna touch a little bit more on this on the next slide, but yeah, Beowulf kind of wanted to leave it to God. Between battles, between decisions, it didn't matter. So he left it with God. Now, does this mean that this is a Christian epic? Not in my opinion. Not in my opinion. My opinion is that it's an Anglo-Saxon epic, because of the heroic code and how much it doesn't talk about it, but it shows it within the text. The battles. The battles were different than what I was expecting. Like, okay, I was thinking medieval times. I was expecting the stereotypical fight, so it's like between a dragon or something that's threatening the land, which kind of this is, but usually you would also be saving someone, like a damsel in distress. Really, that's kind of the main thing that you hear about knights. Um, so like I said on the last slide, he mentioned God and how he would choose the winner of every battle. Beowulf didn't go up saying that he was going to win everything. No, because he knew at a moment's notice that he could lose. But he let God decide the winner and loser. Beowulf's gonna do his best to his ability, But he wasn't just gonna be there and talk trash, because there was no need for that. Because I think a lot of people during that time said that oh, I'm gonna kill you and all that. Next thing you know, something bad happens to him. Number 3, the first battle against Grendel. So this is the first ever battle introduced to Beowulf into the story. So he didn't even use a sword to kill Grendel. Now, basically, what happened here was that Grendel was sleeping. Not Grendel, sorry. Beowulf was sleeping in Mead Hall, because that's where Grendel haunted that hall for 12 years. I didn't even know it was 12 years. But he haunted that place for 12 years. Then Beowulf showed up. He was sleeping in the middle of Mead Hall. Grendel was coming up, slowly and quietly. Beowulf woke up, turned around, and right when Grendel was about to slash him with his claw, he grabbed onto his claw. And they say that Beowulf had the strength in one hand, the grip strength of 30 men. So when he used 2, he had 60 men, basically. The grip of 60 men. That's strong. So when he grabbed that claw and he had it tight, Grendel was already in pain. I mean, because basically that's a bone. He's crushing a bone. Then he ripped Grendel's arm completely off from the shoulder. Just popped off. Grendel was in pain. He was bleeding everywhere. So he decided to run off into the forest, but I think he died somewhere in that forest. And he was never to return. The only thing that we hear about Grendel is his mother, and that was a completely different spite. So, the number four. When going against a dragon, this was the last battle Beowulf would ever fight. He was injured by the dragon's claw, but was still able to slay the dragon. This really was interesting. Just imagine if you got impaled by a dragon claw, which is not small by any means, it's pretty big. Got impaled, hitting all vital organs, but yet still being able to slay the dragon. That's unhuman. That's just something else. That definitely surprised me that he was still able to bring down the dragon. But it probably showed a lot of people that he fought in his dying breath. Alright, now we're going on to the last funerals. So there's a funeral that's in the beginning of the story and at the end of the story. So the funerals within the text show how time changed Beowulf's mind about golden treasure. Now Beowulf wasn't like really around the time. Well, he was around, but he wasn't there at the first funeral of Shield Chieftain. So, when Shield died, he was put on a boat filled with treasure and gold. I mean, this looked like it was just his throne just thrown on to the boat. I mean, it was just so much gold and jewelry, and it kind of represented how much they loved the king at the time. So, then he was set to a sea grave, basically meaning that he was on a boat and they sent him out in honor. So that's when you see the words Whale Road. Whale Road means the sea. So, but okay, now what's interesting that Beowulf did not follow the same route that Shield did. He decided to be burned on a pyre and then buried on land. I found this very interesting. I'm like, why wouldn't you want to do the same thing that everyone else does? You get freaking tons of gold on a boat. Now, even though he had a lot of gold from when he killed the dragon, he didn't want to be set out to sea because that's where all his monsters that he slayed lay to rest. And I found that interesting because he doesn't want to be in the same place where all those monsters are. So he decided he wanted to be different. He wanted to be on the land. So to me, it's like spiritually, he could still watch over the land and not watch from the sea. That's what I take from it, is that he's able to see everyone and how the land is doing from a spiritual level. He's able to watch over the land still. Now, this is the end of my presentation. So my final thoughts are just an amazing story. I know we touched some of this, at least in my senior year of high school, I recommend this if you're a senior, if you're an English 4 high school teacher, go in depth about this story. It'll help them if they're taking British literature in college. It means a lot. Thank you so much.